Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and transfer news update show on the channel. In today's video, we've got lots and lots and lots of news to be getting through in today's show. Eriksen's come out and spoken about how Ten Hag made a massive difference after the Brentford game, how the mentality of the United dressing room has changed in such a short period since he's been there. There's news on Joao Felix to United. There's news on Victor Osimhen to United with a $100 million price tag being agreed for Victor Osimhen. Will United go for that Victor Osimhen or not? With that price tag, more news on Cody Gakpo to United. More news that United will sign a striker. Sources are saying that Manchester United will be signing a big striker in 2023. Ten Hag has confirmed Donny, Van der Beek, Maguire, Ronaldo and Wan-Bissaka return to the team, by the way, guys, for SHERRIF tomorrow. They will be in the squad, and Ten Hag spoke about what Donny van der Beek's role is going to be at Manchester United. More news on Ronaldo leaving in January. Varane is not back until after the World Cup. Martial is out injured. We'll dive into Ten Hag's press conference as well. But I do want to get into the news. I want to start with the Osimhen news. I want to get into the Joao Felix news. I want to get into the Gakpo news, the midfield news, the right-back news, some interesting stats and stuff on Casemiro and all that. But before I get into all the news, guys, please do smash that like button. And, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Let me just take a quick swig of water because my mouth is really, really dry. But I just want to say, guys, before I even dive into the video, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. As you can see on the screen, we've got the OneFootball app here on my computer. They're talking about Jonathan David, who we're going to get into later in the show. We've also got news on Patrick Schick, but I will be mostly diving into Osimhen. They talk about the Maguire captaincy scenario. They talk about the Chelsea news. Bailly's injured. Like, if you see all the stuff here is coming out from the OneFootball app, you know, will United get top four? Press conference. Ten Hag spoke about the January transfer window in his press conference today. And I'm going to get into what Ten Hag said United are going to do in the January transfer window. But they've got all the news covered here as well. Casemiro held his guard. Dogs, some great stats on Casemiro. And I just wanted to say there's a link pinned in the live chat. There's a link in the description to download the OneFootball app. Really, really good app, and it will be sponsoring today's video. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the news, people, and let's dive into the first thing that I want to get into before anything else, before I get into the transfer news. And I will get into the transfer news, I promise you, because it is really interesting. But I don't know if you saw this going around, but these are stats on Casemiro. Basically, this here, and it's actually probably bigger if I do it like this, but basically what's come up here is that, and United Faithful's tweeted this, and it's been tweeted all over the place, if you can see, and they've said just seen these stats from since Casemiro made his first Premier League start for United against Everton. Since Casemiro's made his first start for United against Everton, only Chelsea have had more possession than us in games since the 9th of October, but no team has won more final third possession, showing the mad impact that Casemiro's had. Because before Casemiro came into the starting 11, when we did win those games against Leicester, against Arsenal, against Liverpool and against Southampton, we were playing counter-attacking football where we were kind of hitting them on the break. And it's the space of one player, and that one player being Casemiro. But the impact that one sole player can have on a club, it is just crazy. Look at the possession. 56% possession on average. That's more than Man City since Casemiro started for United. And no teams even got close to us for final possession one in the final third since Casemiro's coming to United. And guys, if you didn't know, Casemiro is one of the best DMs in the world. And I think because a lot of us mostly watch the Premier League, you know, you see Casemiro, you know he's good. You see him in the Champions League, you know he's good. But there's always will they do it in the Premier League? Big La Liga star comes to the Premier League, can flop. A lot of people were iffy. They were saying he was 30, he's past his best. Real Madrid want to sell him, he's finished goods. People did say that about Casemiro, and I said no. I said to you guys, remember when we signed Casemiro, I said this guy is like the best DM in the world, bar Rodri. And what have United been crying out for so long? A DM. Man United have been crying out for a CDM for so long. This guy is better than Declan Rice. This guy is better than them all. He's the best DM in the world, Casemiro. You know, when you have to, over the last 5 years, there's not been a better DM in the world, Casemiro. And he comes to United in the space of 3-4 starts, we're winning the most final third passes, but having the most amount of possession. And it just shows how good he is, how impactful he is. And he can't get injured because Varane's injured now. If this guy gets injured, we're back to McTominay in DM. And look, McTominay did a decent job in DM this season. I'll give McTominay a bit of credit, but he's no Casemiro. Look at the way we play when Casemiro's in the squad. We can play possession-based football. We absolutely dominated Chelsea in that first half versus Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea had to change their tactics. He had to take Cucurella off and bring Kovacic on because he was being dominated at Stamford Bridge. This was the Graham Potter a few weeks ago who killed off United with Brighton before we had Casemiro. You know, we absolutely fucked over Tottenham and Conte. They didn't stand a chance, Tottenham. We completely outplayed them when they came to Old Trafford, pinned them back in their own half because United, with Casemiro in the side, are allowed to dominate possession. Like, he's such a good baller. And for me, this really just shows how good he is. And I hope you can see it as well as I can see it. So I'll try and get that as big as possible. But Casemiro is an absolute baller, guys. We will get into the Sheriff game. Nick's saying Maguire, Lindelof to start as centre-back tomorrow. If Martinez starts and gets booked, he misses the Sociedad game, which we need him. We will get into the Sheriff game tomorrow because there's rumours that Maguire, Donny van der Beek and Ronaldo and Malacia are, according to reports, all starting tomorrow as well. And it will be much safer if Maguire starts, just having Casemiro in the squad as well. And do you know what? It might really help Harry Maguire having someone like Casemiro in the squad, as David says, because Harry Maguire's been struggling a lot for Manchester United. He's clearly lacking confidence. And look, I'm of the mindset of I don't want Harry Maguire to be captain and I don't want him to be starting over Varane and Martinez, but Varane is injured. We're going to need Harry Maguire. And I really want Harry Maguire to be as good as he can be for United. I really want Harry Maguire to come back, play for United and be really, really good for us. That's my mindset on Harry Maguire. I think he's been poor lately, and I want him to play for United, and I want him to be really, really good for Man United. That's what I want from Harry Maguire. I want him to play well. I want him to score goals. It's not score goals. I want him to just defend well. I want him to be good for United. And, you know, one thing he's going to need is confidence. And I think having someone like Casemiro at the back is going to really help Harry Maguire in that sense of, you know, he's going to feel more protected. He's going to be less exposed. And whether you like Maguire or not, we've got to hope that when he plays well, because when he has played this season, he's been stinking it up. And Varane's injured to the World Cup. We're going to need Maguire. We're going to need him to play well. We're going to need him at the top of his game. And that's when you look at Casemiro and go, well, we need someone like Casemiro to hopefully be on it, to help Maguire and people as well. And let's see if, let's test and see if it's the same guy plus Donny needs some minutes. Donny will probably get minutes tomorrow as well. And Dave said, I agree with Alice, do not captain Maguire, but centre back Maguire and heading balls into the back of the net Maguire. Harry Maguire is a very, very good centre back when he's in form, but he's never been in form for United. He's in form for England. He's never been in form for United. And I do think with Maguire, we just got to see if we can get him in form, see if he can be doing well. His physical side of the game is good because Varane's injured. What we need is a good Maguire. Daniel says, will Ronaldo score tomorrow? Potentially, we'll have to wait and see. I think Ronaldo will play tomorrow, and I think he will have an impact. But I want to dive into the transfer news. I want to dive into the Victor Osimhen news. I want to get into this story first of all, and then I'm going to dive into the Joao Felix news. Then we'll go back and talk about the Sheriff game. So a big story came out about Victor Osimhen that Napoli have placed a €100 million price tag on Manchester United target this Victor Osimhen. We know from Romano, we know from David Ornstein, we know from many reports that United will go for a striker in 2023. If Ronaldo leaves, we could even go for a striker in January, but we will definitely be signing a striker in 2023. We've been highlighted of a big new long-term striker with Martial's injury record of Ronaldo leaving is the forefront of Ten Hag's plans. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. We've watched United the last few games. We've been very good on the ball. We've been very good in possession. We've played very well, but we're not scoring the goals. Ammonia only 1 goal. Newcastle didn't score a goal. Tottenham, we got 2 goals in the end. Chelsea, we got a goal in the end, but we didn't score a single goal in the first half of our last 4 games, despite, I think, creating 10 big chances. I think we created 11 big chances in the first half of the last 4 games and didn't score 1 goal from 11 big chances. There's a clear lack of clinicalness. And the thing about Victor Osimhen is, Victor Osimhen's a player that Ten Hag will want because Man United were linked to him in the summer. Fabrizio Romano said that while United would like Victor Osimhen in the summer, he was out of their budget because they spent 100 million on Antony. We know that United would have liked Victor Osimhen, but they spent 100 million on Antony. So Victor Osimhen was named out the price bracket. But we know Romano said United had an interest in Victor Osimhen. We know that Napoli have an interest in Ronaldo, and there's always been rumours of Osimhen going one way, Cristiano Ronaldo going the next way, la-di-la-di-la. But Victor Osimhen to United is definitely a deal that could happen, but because of the price tag, not in January. It could be a summer deal. It's someone United want, but he would be €100 million. £100 million. We'd have to break the bank for him. And the question is, will Ten Hag want to spend that much money on one player, or will Ten Hag be going, I want a 30 million right back, I want a 40 million ball carrying midfielder, and I'll get a 50 million striker and a 30 million Gakpo instead? Are we in the position yet in a rebuild where we can really spend 100 million in one position? I don't know. I think that's next summer. I think this summer is getting that goalie, that right back, that ball carrying midfielder, that backup centre back, that winger, and that striker. And then the next summer is about getting one or two key expensive players. But what we do know about Victor Osimhen to United, and what we are going to dive into, is the news that came out as well in the summer. A lot of news came out about Manchester United going for Victor Osimhen in the summer. Remember, a lot of news came out about you know, us potentially doing a swap deal with Ronaldo, and, you know, a lot of good journalists spoke about, could Victor Osimhen come to United in the summer? And the news that really came out was United like Victor Osimhen, but the price tag for Osimhen is just viewed as too much. I mean, he's crazy expensive. I'm going to get this old news that came up regarding Osimhen up on the screen. Let me quickly get the Osimhen news up. So obviously, it was also said by Di Marzio. Now, Di Marzio is a very reliable source when it comes out when we're looking for news coming out of Italy. And Di Marzio said this, that they, and this, oh, wrong one, clicked on that. Di Marzio said, and I'll zoom in on this for you guys here, regarding Victor Osimhen. Di Marzio said that Napoli have opened the door for Victor Osimhen to Manchester United for €100 million plus Ronaldo's loan, with United covering a big portion of the wages. You know, Di Marzio were very open to letting Napoli go. But Di Marzio are only open to letting, sorry, not Di Marzio, Napoli are only open to letting Osimhen go for the right price. So that is the story. That was the story. So we knew that Napoli would be willing to let Osimhen go. We knew that Napoli were interested in Ronaldo, and we knew that United would have liked Victor Osimhen. But then when we got heard 100 million for Victor Osimhen, we went, well, we can spend 100 million on Antony, we can spend 100 million on Osimhen. United chose to spend 100 million on Antony. Ten Hag liked Osimhen, United are interested in Osimhen, but they just said, well, no way are we giving them 100 million and then sending Ronaldo there and paying Ronaldo's wages. But we do know from reliable sources, Di Marzio again, that Napoli are willing to, you know, negotiate with Man United for Osimhen. Napoli will be willing to sell Victor Osimhen in the summer, and United have always had an interest in Victor Osimhen as well. Now, Napoli are doing really well. I think Napoli are top of the Serie A, and I've always said with Victor Osimhen, because of that, I do not see him going anywhere in January. I think Napoli will be looking to keep him in January, but I think in the summer he could be a 100 million deal. Big G says, don't think we should be blowing 100 million on Osimhen. To be fair, we could get David for 50 mil and a right back for 50 mil. Yeah, we could get 3 players for the price of Osimhen, and that is the way of thinking of it as well. But Marcus says Osimhen would be a great signing. Man United need to look for Eriksen kind of signing beside that. Tielemans on a free. Should United be looking more at free signings, guys? Let me know down below. Would you be looking at Tielemans as well? And unless they're Dutch and call Frankie de Jong, we should be looking at Frankie de Jong as well. And Gakpo and Osimhen next summer looks. Gakpo in January and Osimhen next summer looks good. I mean, my ideal scenario is Gakpo in January and Osimhen next summer. For me, that is the ideal scenario. However, with Osimhen next summer, you just don't know, because even if we get into this report here, if we get into what Fabrizio Romano said on Osimhen to United, and this again was Romano said very late last summer, Romano did confirm that there were talks between Jorge Mendes and Napoli, but it was never going to happen because Manchester United had already spent big money on Antony, so they would not pay the 100 million asking price for Osimhen. So again, we know there was talks, we know there was stuff going on between Osimhen, United, Ronaldo, and Napoli. However, because we spent 100 million on Antony, that summer we could not spend 100 million on Osimhen. And I don't think this January you can spend 100 million on Osimhen, but I do think come next summer, he's potentially a target with Napoli, probably willing to sell and cash in on their star, and United obviously wanting the player because he's a top player. But that is the news mostly on Osimhen right now. There's reports that there's been 100 million price tag slapped on Victor Osimhen. United are interested in Victor Osimhen. You know, we know that United have been interested in Victor Osimhen for a very long time. But I think to getting Osimhen in January, I'd be shocked. Look, if Ronaldo leaves in January, I believe we'll sign a striker. I do 100% believe United will bring in an attacker if Ronaldo leaves in January. But I think it would be a Gakpo. I can't see us spending more than 50 million in January. So if we get Osimhen in January, I'd absolutely be shocked. But Osimhen in the summer is definitely one to keep an eye on, because we were linked to him a little bit last summer from very good sources. Another player that we could maybe keep an eye on in the summer, and a player that Ten Hag is reportedly a big fan of, is obviously Joao Felix. Now, we spoke about Joao Felix yesterday in my live show yesterday. And it was said regarding Joao Felix, just that Manchester United are interested in signing Joao Felix. He's very dissatisfied and no longer has a good relationship with Diego Simeone. We obviously spoke about this in yesterday's show as well. I think this is another big summer signing available. But the impression I get is we know that United are going to spend big on a striker this summer. We know the number one priority this summer is a striker. United will spend big. We know that there will be Tammy Abraham. We know there'll be Patrick Schick. We know there'll be Jonathan David. We know there'll be Ivan Toney. We know there'll be Osimhen, and we know there'll be Joao Felix on the market. And I think United will be going in big for one of these players, depending on other signings, depending on the board. I know for a fact United have an interest in Ivan Toney because we've had some decent journalists say it. We know also for a fact that United have an interest in Osimhen because decent journalists have said it. And reportedly, in the summer, United made a bid for Joao Felix reportedly in the summer, so he's definitely a player of interest. So I would keep an eye on these stories, but I would say again, not January, very, very summer based. I think a lot of these stories. I think the only real January story that really shines out to me is probably the Cody Gakpo story. I think we lack in depth, especially, and going back to your point here, because we do know United massively lack in squad depth and all of that. Spending 100 million on someone like Victor Osimhen. Is it worth it? My question to you in the chat is, because we've got so little squad depth, because we need a backup right back, we probably need another centre back, we probably need another winger, we even need backup in Bruno's area, we even need a ball carrying midfielder on top of the priority being striker, and you could even argue a keeper that's good on the ball. Should United be spending 100 million on Victor Osimhen? Let me know in the chat, yes or no. Would you spend 100 million on Victor Osimhen? Because we know it's going to be 100 million. If we go back to the main report here, if we go back to the Osimhen news here quickly before we get into the midfielder situation, Napoli placing 100 million price tag on Osimhen. If you actually click on the new, stupid cookies, fuck off. If you actually click on the report, as well, if I can find it, now I can't find it. Just classic me. But if I actually clicked on the report and got the report up here, 100 million. It says euros here, but it's saying by the Manchester Evening News pounds. Is that something United should be doing? Let me know in the chat. For me, I love Osimhen, and he would be the dream striker. There's not a better player out there than Osimhen. If you look at his stats here, if we go to Victor Osimhen's stats, he hasn't got crazy stats, but he's very much like when you watch him play, you know he's good. And obviously this season, it's got 5 goals, 1 assist. I'm not saying it's crazy stats, but it's not Gakpo stats, but it's just about how good he is on and off the ball. Last season, he got 18 goals, 6 assists, in 2,300 minutes. Very, very good numbers there as well. And then obviously the 2021 season, I think was his first season in Italy. He got 10 goals, 3 assists. And then if you go into the 1920 season, I think this is when he was in League 1, but he had that killer season, 18 goals, 6 assists. You got to remember he's 23 years of age. He's still really young. When you actually look at it, he's still 23 years of age. He's still really young. He's younger than a lot of our players. Basically, very young player, and the numbers he puts up: 9 games, 5 goals, 1 assist. Pretty good numbers for Napoli. But it's not even the numbers. It's actually when you watch Victor Osimhen play, you're like, this guy is a baller. When I watch Victor Osimhen play, I've watched a bit of Napoli, because Napoli, I tell you this now, the most exciting team to watch outside the Premier League right now, I put my money on Napoli. They've got some ballers. But he's a very good player in the sense of he's not someone that is desperate for service. He needs service, of course, he's a striker. But, United haven't given our strikers service over the last few years. He's a striker that'd be so good for United because he can make things happen. He's got that ability to. It's not about goals and assists with him. It's about what he adds to the overall play. He's 23. He's a long-term striker. He can link up the play. He plays well. He would be suited to Ten Hag's system. For me, he's the perfect number 9, and that's why we're still talking about him. But as I've asked you guys down below, do you think he's worth the money as well? Brentford priced Toney at 40 million when Newcastle inquired, so that's 40-50 million. Do you know what? We'll go back to Ivan Toney in a second. The annoying thing about the Ivan Toney situation is that other teams, when they inquired about Ivan Toney, they were being quoted at 40-50 million when other teams inquired about Ivan Toney. But you just know that United will be quoted at 70-80 odd million. You know, because when Man United have Man United tax, we want Ivan Toney. Now, so if you want Ivan Toney, you've got to give us about 90 million. But if Newcastle want Ivan Toney, they have to pay 40 million. It's crazy tax. I did a poll yesterday on Twitter and I asked you who the dream striker signing would be. And you guys went with Victor Osimhen. Toney got 24%. Osimhen got 36%. Vlahovic got 18.1%. And Kane got 21%. A lot of people commented Gakpo down below. Some people said Sesko. But I did say, look, Gakpo's not an out-and-out striker as well. But a lot of people saying Osimhen. Marcus says, if we're able to get Gakpo and Jan, then Osimhen, that would be good because Gakpo, Martial would be back up. Yeah, the thing is, I love Martial. I think Martial is an absolutely fantastic player. And look, when Martial's been fit this season, he's been good. But I've got a statistic on Martial here. I've got an absolute statistic on Martial if I can find it. Where is my stat? Oh, here it is. Yo, this will shock you guys. You're not going to believe what I'm going to get up on the screen. You wouldn't believe this about Martial. Are you ready? You ready? Martial's missed 12 weeks of the season with injury. Now, when I said you wouldn't be shocked, I was being sarcastic. But 12 weeks. I think the season's only been 12 weeks. It's 3 months. October, 1 month is September, 2 months is August. 12 weeks. 12 weeks. That's the whole season. He's missed basically the whole season because he's come on as a sub, then comes off injured. Starts a game, comes off injured. This guy plays a game and then is injured for another 4 weeks. I swear, man, there's not been a player more injured this season than Martial. And the annoying thing is he comes on and he plays for half an hour and we get this tease about what Martial can do. Martial's on the pitch here for like 20 minutes and he's absolutely balling up on the pitch. And he gets injured and he's not going to be involved versus Sheriff tomorrow because he's injured. And I love Martial. But if this guy could just stay fit, it would just do us the world of good. It's like he is generally made of glass. I don't know what it is, but 12 weeks of just injury. He comes on 20 minutes. Oh, he's injured for the next game. Then we don't see him for a month. Comes on 20 minutes, injured for the next game. Then we don't see him for a month. Starts versus Everton. Then we don't see him for a month. The guy has been good when he plays, and that's the most frustrating thing. Like, if Martial was a Maguire and had played a lot and been really shit and he's injured, you're like, all right, we need a striker. But look, what can Martial offer when he's fit? Not loads and loads and loads. But we are crying out for a striker, and there's been the Ronaldo issues. Ronaldo will be back, and then bloody Martial is just injured all the time. 12 weeks of this season with injuries, and this is on the Glazers. Ten Hag wanted a striker. Ten Hag wanted another attacker. Ten Hag wanted not just Anthony, he wanted Gakpo as well. Ten Hag said, I want Gakpo in January. We don't have enough squad depth in the attack to the board. Martial was constantly injured and the board ignored him. They said, Ten Hag, you're going to have to spend this season playing Rashford striker because Martial's made of glass and Ronaldo doesn't want to be a bish bash bosh. There you go, Ten Hag. Go and try and get top 4 with Rashford as a striker. They ignored him. They ignored him when he wanted Gakpo because 12 weeks injury of Martial, and this highlights why we will get a striker in January. Ronaldo's set to leave in January from reliable sources. There's no way Ronaldo goes and we don't bring an attacker. No way. Even the board aren't that stupid because with Martial, he's 100 million% made of glass as well. Osimhen and Vlahovic were both bought for around 17 million euros by the club, so their price tag of 100 million euros is expected. That's why Ivan Toney will probably be the cheaper as well. And Napoli said it was 100 million in the summer when Liverpool and Newcastle were linked to him, so good luck getting them to budge. Yeah, I mean, Osimhen 100 million, the price tags, Osimhen's 100 million, Ivan Toney could be 50, 60 million as well. People say get Osimhen, forget about De Jong. We need a striker more than anything, but I still think United should go back in for De Jong as well. And who's been confirmed? It's just been confirmed by good sources. United will sign a new attacker. Tier 1 sources have said 2023, Man United will sign a new attacker. And if Ronaldo leaves, it's likely to be in January. And we know the new attackers that United are interested in are your Osimhen, your Ivan Tonys, your Gakpos, your Jonathan Davids, your Schicks, your Tammy Abrahams. Let me know who you'd sign down below. But they are the players that United are reportedly interested in signing. Guys, please do smash that like button if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below if you're new as well, and share the video. I am going to get into the next story as well. Martial is the new buy as well. He absolutely is. And people say Kane only gets merit because Man United used to have England stars. Kane is a good striker. Kane would massively improve our squad as well, but I think with him getting older and older, Kane, that United probably need to look at younger options than Kane as well. Is Osimhen good? I haven't watched Napoli a lot. Osimhen is fucking insane, absolutely insane. And I want to go back to the other striker story, Joao Felix. So obviously we did speak about Joao Felix in yesterday's show, and we spoke about Joao Felix to United in today's show, and this was obviously the main story coming out about Joao Felix from Sky Sports, confirming that United will be interested in Joao Felix, and he obviously wants to leave, what do you call them, Atletico Madrid. But remember in the summer that United reportedly were interested in signing Joao Felix, and apparently Joao Felix will not join Bayern Munich in January, and there's even reports saying Joao Felix is very interested in a Premier League move as well. But if we really go back to the summer, do you remember in the summer there was reports that Atletico Madrid wanted to get Ronaldo, and there was even reports that apparently United put in something like €100 million bid for Joao Felix in the summer. Now, I don't know if that was ever true or not, but there were sources saying that in the summer that United were willing to pay €100 million for Joao Felix. And if we're willing to pay €100 million for Joao Felix last summer, and apparently Joao Felix didn't want to move, and it's now coming up that Joao Felix wants to move, I think that if we do pay €100 million for Joao Felix next summer, that could be something that could potentially happen as well. Now, I always think with Joao Felix, is he a player that wants to come to United? I don't know. I think he needs to get out of Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico Madrid don't play the style of football that suits Joao Felix as well. And is Joao Felix an out-and-out striker, an out-and-out nine? Not really. He can play in Bruno's or he can play as a false nine. He's not really an out-and-out nine. However, United have been linked with Joao Felix a bit. Good sources saying he wants out of Atletico Madrid, and good sources saying that United are interested in him. And apparently we made a bid for him in the summer. But again, I always say take that kind of news with a pinch of salt. But let's dive into the next story. Let's get past Joao Felix, strikers and all of that as well. But Joao Felix is a good player. I mean, let me know in the chat, guys. Everyone comment Felix or Osimhen. If you have to choose between Felix or Osimhen, where would you go? But Osimhen, with his 18 goals and 6 assists for Napoli last season, at 22 years of age, is a top player. I really want to get into a little bit of news that's come out from Ten Hag, a little bit of news that's come out from, of course, Eriksen as well. And then I do want to get into the right-back situation, what's going on with right-backs at United. But I want to quickly get into this story here. So Erik Ten Hag in his press conference today spoke about the January transfer window and his January plans. And Ten Hag said, at the moment, we're focusing on the games. In the background, we also continue and are working on the squad. You always examine how you can improve, and that is what we'll do. So Ten Hag didn't come out and say we're not spending money in January. This is really clever answer for Ten Hag about January transfer plans. He's saying, obviously, we're going to focus on the games, but in the background, you're examining the squad and what we need to do. And this comment by Ten Hag about the January transfer window says to me, that is Ten Hag basically saying we're looking to do something in January because we know we need to do something in January. Ten Hag can't come out and just say, yeah, we're going to go buy someone in January. But he's not. But he could come out and say, we're not looking in the January transfer window, we're focusing on the summer. He didn't. After the Sheriff game, just after the Queen died, Ten Hag said, we will look to sign players in January. If the right player's available, I want to bring someone in January. That's what Ten Hag said. And then Ten Hag got in trouble with the board. He then started coming out and saying that we weren't going to spend in January, we were going to spend in the summer. Mert started opening his mouth. And then the big Ronaldo situation happened last week. And what did the Ronaldo situation trigger, guys? Bish, bash, bosh. It triggered the January transfer rumours to go swinging, because it's now been said by Ornstein and Romano in the space of a week. Ornstein and Romano have gone from, in the space of a week, from United spending in January looks unlikely, they're focused on the summer, to now you're Ornstein's, now you're Romano saying United spending in January is seeming to be incredibly likely. And if Ronaldo goes, it's thought that United will buy another player in January. And all of a sudden, your Ten Hag is going, we're looking at what we need to do in the January transfer window, we're examining the squad and how we can improve. All of a sudden, the journalists are saying United are going to do something in January. And that says to me, the board don't want to spend in January, the owners don't want to spend in January, but I think they've accepted we've got to let Ronaldo go in January. And if we let Ronaldo go, with Martial being injured the whole season, I showed you 12 weeks injury, the board are probably sitting there going, right, we need to buy someone. So then we get linked to Osimhen, 100 million. They go, we just spent 100 million on Anthony. Osimhen, 100 million. That can wait till the summer. Vlahovic, he wants out of Juventus. He's fed up with Juventus. They just dropped down to Europa League. United could be playing Di Maria and Pogba in the Europa League. We'll talk about that later. But he's not going to be available in January. Ivan Toney. Now, Ivan Toney's reportedly going to be available in January. This is one to keep an eye on. In my opinion, if Ronaldo leaves, now only if Ronaldo leaves, if Ronaldo stays, don't even give it attention. Ivan Toney to United in January is something I truly believe is going to really heat up come December. I really solidly believe Toney to United in January is going to massively heat up in December, so keep an eye on that. Cody Gakpo available in January, that's going to be hot. Cody Gakpo is going to be hot. Ivan Toney is going to be hot in January. There's your Jonathan David, your Shicks, your those kind of stories as well. Keep an eye on them. But I think the two that we're going to heat up in January are TONEY and Gakpo, because we've been linked to them. They're possible to do in January. And if Ronaldo leaves, we know they're players Ten Hag wants. We know they're players that will be willing to move to Manchester United. It just depends on the price range as well. You know, if Gakpo goes and has a fucking killer World Cup, that's a 100 million move to Real Madrid. Done. Bish, bash, bosh. But I take from what Ten Hag said today in his press conference that he's very much looking at what we need to do in January. He says, in the background, you also continue working on the squad. You examine what you need to do to improve. And, you know, Ten Hag's examining the squad. Ten Hag knows more about football than me. And I can look with my average football knowledge and go and watch United and go, they need a striker in January. They're crying out for a striker in January. The 37-year-old can't play every week and doesn't want to be here. The other striker's made of glass. Rashford's a left winger, not a striker, can't finish his dinner. Anyone with the basics of football knowledge could go, Ten Hag needs a striker badly. We're only 1 point off fourth. Let's go get a striker in January. And Ten Hag will know that, and the board will know that. And the board will now realise, because of the Ronaldo situation, they might have to go and do something in January. They might have to. And what I will say as well is Man United are only 1 point. Man United are only 1 point off top four. Man United have statistically had the hardest start to the Premier League season. Manchester United are the only team that have played every single side in the top 10 so far this season. You know, Arsenal have only played like 4 of the top 11 teams, whereas United have played every top 11 team but Fulham so far this season. United have had the hardest start to the season in terms of fixture list and runs. United's first 2 games of the season you can almost write off as being gone. Can you believe that Ten Hag, having played all the games he's played, is only 1 point off fourth? When you really think about it, Ten Hag's a new manager, so he's not even had time to bond and gel with his squad and get used to his squad and his players. He's a new manager. He had the first 3 games of the season without his new players in, got battered the first 2 games of the season, you know, and he's 1 point off fourth, having had the hardest run in. We've not had easy games. We've played every team in the top 6. The first 2 games don't even count for me. If we'd have won the first 2 games, we'd be in second. If we'd won the first 2 games, we'd be in second, only something like a point behind Arsenal. Madness, you know. But you know, the first 2 games happened. But you've got to actually think, when you think about Ten Hag, he's had the hardest start to the season, hardest fixture list running. He's 1 point off fourth, played the whole of the top 6, but he's also done that actually having to adapt his style of play and get the squad used to his style of play. When you actually deep what Ten Hag's done, you go, these Man United players were used to playing counter-attacking football. They can't play Ten Hag ball. They don't have it in them. So Ten Hag had to adapt his style to get those results versus Southampton, Leicester, Liverpool, Arsenal. And he's, as you can see by game, he's slowly trying to implement his style so the squad get used to it. And Man United have gone from, if you look at us versus Brentford, or if you looked at us towards the end of last season, a team that didn't run, a team that was absolute shite at the end of last season or the first 2 games of this season, to actually versus Tottenham, dominating them, pinning them back in their half. And we ran more distance versus Tottenham Hotspur than we've ever ran in a Premier League game for the last 5 years or something. Ten Hag effect. That was something like that, some crazy stat. We completely outrun Tottenham. You know, we've gone from not running to now outrunning teams. We've gone from not being able to dominate possession to the last 4 games, only Chelsea have had more possession. No teams won more final third balls than us. Ten Hag is slowly implementing a style of play on United. You know, with Varane being injured, it's not going to help. We're going to have to go back to a lower line. But we were playing the 2-3-5 in-game formation that Ten Hag wants to do, where his fullbacks are basically other wingers, and you pin back the opposition. We pinned back Spurs. 45 minutes at Stamford Bridge, dominated. When we played Everton, we went 1-0 down, 1-2-1, absolutely dominated them. Newcastle, good side, just beat Spurs 2-0. Newcastle, absolutely fantastic side. 0-0. Newcastle were lucky as fuck. We could have scored that 3 goals that second half. We see what Ten Hag's trying to do. We see that Ten Hag's a point off fourth. We see how hard it's been for Ten Hag. We see Ten Hag slowly trying to implement things. We see the situation he is, and I go, give him a striker, because I can watch Man United play. I can use my eyes. Give him a striker, or if not a striker, give him a player like Gakpo, someone that can create, someone that can contribute goals. Give him someone in attack to add depth that can contribute goals. This guy could get top 4. And, you know, people have this high standard that if Ten Hag doesn't get top 4, there will be United fans saying Ten Hag out is crap. I thought at the beginning of the season we finished 6th or 7th. I really did. I thought we were going to be way up at 6th or 7th. We could get top 4 because we're not just winning games, we're playing well. We're playing good football, we're dominating teams, but we're not scoring goals because we don't have the players in. And that's what I see when I watch United. I'm like, this team could possibly do something. And you have to back 10-0 for me as well. David says Gakpo and Saha. I think we'll finish above Spurs and Liverpool and get 4th. Everyone was saying Tottenham Hotspur are going to get 3rd, and everyone was saying Man United are going to get 7th. But right now, United, I think, can finish above Spurs. However, it's all about injuries and investment. I think the team, and I said this last January. If you watched me in around January time, if you watched me around January, December time, I said 4th place will be between Man United, Tottenham, and Arsenal. I said this in December. I said this in January. 4th place is between Man United, Tottenham, and Arsenal. And what did I say? I said the team that invests in January will get 4th. Did Arsenal spend any money in January this year? No. Did they get 4th? No, they just missed out. Did United spend any money in January this year? No. Did they get 4th? They were well fucking off. But did Tottenham spend money in January? Who did Tottenham get in January? Kulusevski, Benteke. If Tottenham had not got Kulusevski or Benteke, they would not have finished top 4. And they wouldn't be playing in the Champions League right now. Arsenal would be. But I said the reason Tottenham got top 4 last season and not Arsenal is because they invested in January. Look what fucking Kulusevski did to them. The impact Kulusevski had is the reason Tottenham got top 4 and not Arsenal. Because Arsenal didn't invest like United in January. And I said this in December and I said this in January. Watch Tottenham get top 4 now. Because United and Arsenal, who are still in the top 4 race, despite United being as crap as they were, sat in January and went, Alvarez can go, Vlahovic can go, Diaz can go, la-di-la-di-la-di-la. Whereas Tottenham went, well, just like United, we need a midfielder and striker, and they went and did it. And then they got top 4, they got Champions League. And the same will happen this year. Man City nailed on top 4. Arsenal nailed on top 4. Chelsea, I think, will get it, but Potter's not used to those players. United, Liverpool, and Tottenham. If Liverpool don't invest in January, it's very slim they get top 4 because of their injury record. And it's United and Spurs. If United invest in January, they can get top 4. It's like last January. And the annoying part is the Glazers don't seem to use their brains. If I'm the Glazers, I would sit there and go, all right, if we spend 30 million in January and we get top 4, we get about 30 million more quid anyway. And we'll be in the Champions League, so we'll bring in even more money the next year. So if I'm the Glazers, I'm thinking, let's invest in January, we can get top 4 because I'll make the money back. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Tumbleweed says Felix is more like Rashford on the super chat. Felix can play left wing, but he's a little bit more versatile than Rashford because he can actually play through the middle. Guys, please smash that like button if you haven't already. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Inter 2-0 up, which basically means Barcelona and Frankie de Jong will be joining us in the Europa League. Pogba, Di Maria and de Jong will all be joining United in the Europa League. What can you say as well? And how are the Glazers supposed to use their brains? You can't use what you don't have. Absolute facts. They don't. The thing about the Glazers is they're not even good businessmen. If United spend in January, for me, that's top 4. You bring in a Gakpo, you bring in an Ivan Toney in January, that's top 4. If the Glazers, I will sit here with pure confidence, unless Casemiro breaks his leg or something, or unless Varane's injured forever. If Man United went out in January and signed Ivan Toney, I will sit here with confidence and say this. If United go out in January and we sign Ivan Toney, we'll get top 4. I am that confident of it. If we signed Ivan Toney, if we signed an Osimhen in January, 100%, I believe we are getting top 4. 100%. Because I look at the way we play, I look at how decent we've been, and I go, we are a striker. We're 1 point off top 4, hardest running. Tottenham invested last January and they got top 4 over Arsenal and United. We can beat Tottenham. We can beat Liverpool, invest. And the Glazers, I've always said this, will they do that? I don't know. But if Inter winning, does that mean Barcelona are going into the Europa League then as well? Does that mean Barcelona going into Europa League? It's Benteke pronounced it wrong. And let's have a look. We'll get top 4 without Toney, says David. I mean, I'm using Ivan Toney as an example because I actually think we could possibly get Ivan Toney. But one sec. I just want to get this up, guys. We are going to get into some transfer news. I want to get into some really interesting statistics. I want to get into the live chat. I want to talk about something. But as it stands, Ajax are joining us in the Europa League. Brilliant. We can play Ternal's old club. Atletico Madrid will join us in the Europa League, it looks like. Brilliant. But look at this. Barcelona will be in the Europa League. Because even if Barcelona win their next 2 games, they're on 10 points. Barcelona, as things stand, and they got Bayern Munich, and let's be honest, they ain't beaten Bayern Munich. Frankie de Jong's going to be in the fucking Europa League. You've got to love that. You've actually got to love that. We're going to be playing Jurriën Timber in the Europa League, and this, you know what? Karma's a bitch, and I'm gonna go over this quickly. Karma's a bitch. Jurriën Timber talking about staying at Ajax and playing Champions League. You're seeing us in the Europa League, Jurriën Timber. Frankie de Jong going on about Champions League. You're seeing us in Europa, Frankie de Jong. And fucking the biggest snake bitch of them all, Di Maria, see us in the Europa League. Paul Pogba, I have no issue with Paul Pogba. I like Paul Pogba. But see you in the Europa League. We're seeing Pogba, we're seeing Di Maria, we're seeing Timber, and we're seeing, most importantly and funny of all, Frankie de Jong in the Europa League confirmed. That into winning, that's Frankie de Jong in the Europa League confirmed, people. That's confirmed. Like, I'm sorry. If that does not make you smile, I don't know what doesn't. Seeing Frankie de Jong in the Europa League. Am I horrible? Yes. Am I a bitch? Yes. But is Frankie de Jong going to be playing in the Europa League? Yes. But Frankie de Jong, if you actually want to be playing in the Europa League and not on the bench in the Europa League, you could make that swap from Barcelona to United, because that would be pretty cool as well. But you've got to laugh at that. You've actually got to laugh that Jurriën Timber turns down United, then starts bigging up the Ajax from the Champions League. Ajax are now in Europa League. You know, now Frankie de Jong is in Europa League. All these players that were saying, oh, why would I go to United? They're in the Europa League, we're in the Champions League, are literally joining us in the Europa League as well. Juventus aren't at bottom of their group, aren't they? Juventus will be in the Europa League, definitely. But yeah, I'm not. Mark says, I'm a United fan. I'm just realistic and not living in a fairy tale thinking we're buying Osimhen and Bellingham. And I also know for a fact that Ten Hag won't sign TONEY because he won't fit the role. I think TONEY will fit the role. But look, I think Ten Hag's dream is Osimhen and Bellingham. Ten Hag's dream is Osimhen and Bellingham, but I don't think we'll get Osimhen and Bellingham. I just think that is Ten Hag's dream as well. Gakpo, I think, again, is... I think, look, if Ten Hag... If we have Newcastle's owners, I think we'd be getting Gakpo, I think we'd be getting Osimhen, I think we'd be getting Bellingham. We don't have Newcastle's owners, so we've got to be a bit more realistic in who we get. You know, it's confirmed that United will go for a striker. All the reliable reports have confirmed 2023, Man United will be going for a striker. I mean, you don't need your tier 1 journalists to confirm United will sign a new attacker. You don't need your Romanos or ORNSTIENs to even confirm United will sign a new attacker in 2023, because it's so obvious that's what we need to do, and it's so obvious that's what Ten Hag wants. But that is the news, that United will sign a new attacker in 2023. That has been confirmed by all the journalists. Victor Osimhen, a target, has also had his price confirmed at 100 million. I don't think we'll spend 100 million on Victor Osimhen. And the reason I say that is maybe we will in the summer if we're desperate, if we miss out on other targets, because we did spend 100 million on Anthony in the summer. But I think we want a backup right back. It's very obvious. We've been linked to Frimpong. We also want a ball carrying midfielder. He also wants a goalkeeper. I don't think there's room if you spend 100 million on one player. However, I think we need a £100 million striker. I love Martial, but he can't stay fit. So we need a good striker, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. I like Rashford, but he's not a striker. Rashford needs to be playing on that left wing for me as well. Inter are playing Victoria Plazan or something, but I can't get over the fact that de Jong is going to be in the Europa League. Dumfries will be a good signing, but we're looking at the, I was about to say RB Leipzig, the Bayern Leverkusen player as well. And it's important Man United win the group, especially with Barca coming to Europa League for a second season as well. Yeah, really important that Man United win the group. Because look, we'll go back to the Europa League, so we have to win our next 2 games. If United don't win their group, in the round of 32, we'll be either playing Ajax, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Sporting Lisbon, Salzburg, or Milan, depending on which way that goes. Probably Shakhtar or RB Leipzig, depending on which way that goes. Probably Sevilla or Dortmund, depending on which way that goes. And most likely Juventus, who could even finish bottom of the group. Who have Juventus got in their next game? Juventus might finish bottom of the group. If Juventus lose to PSG, they actually might finish bottom of the group behind Maccabi Haifa. Like, Juventus might even get knocked out. I'm sorry. Imagine getting knocked out when Maccabi Haifa's in your group, because Juventus are the only team in the world that have let Maccabi Haifa win. Like, what even is Maccabi Haifa? What is this? What country is this? I'm probably really thick. What country even is this? Israel. They're fucking team from Israel. only Juventus could get beaten by a team of Israel. Juventus are the new Banter FC. Juventus are the new Manchester United, guys. They really, really are. They really are. But anyway, if we look at Manchester United and we look at the Europa League and all that as well, I don't want to be laughing and getting too far ahead, because no, in our like United will get knocked out of the Europa League. But if we do scroll down to our Europa League group, United sit here in second, and United are very much out of the group confirmed. I think that win is us out of the group confirmed. I think Sheriff will beat Ammonia, but I think we'll beat Sheriff. We beat Sheriff out of the group, bish bash bosh. But the interesting thing here is Real Sociedad have better goal difference than us. So we have to win our next 2 games because we're idiots that couldn't score 4 points. Realistically, our goal difference should be 7 because we should have beat Ammonia 7-0, but it's not. So we have to beat Sheriff, but we have to beat Real Sociedad as well and hope that our goal difference is better, because otherwise we're going to be playing a Juventus or a Barcelona in the Europa League. We're going to be playing either Juventus or Barcelona in the Europa League, or hopefully Maccabi Haifa. You know what? I really hope that team from bloody Israel goes through and not Juventus, and we can play that Israeli team. That'll be a lot easier for us in the round of 32 as well. Someone said De Jong will end up at Chelsea. I believe De Jong will leave Barcelona this summer. I strongly believe that Frankie de Jong will leave Barcelona this summer. I do. Barcelona still want to get rid of De Jong. De Jong is playing at the moment for Barca, but that's only reportedly because other players can't play. I believe De Jong will leave Barcelona this summer, and I believe De Jong, we're going to get 12 weeks of De Jong to United next summer. I hate to say it. I generally believe we're going to get 12 weeks of De Jong to United next summer, and I'm going to kill myself over it. I do think that. I think Gakpo will be all over January. I think Ivan Toney will be all over January. If we don't get a striker in January, I think it'll be Osimhen to United rumours. I don't think we'll get Osimhen. I think it'll be too expensive. I think we'll hear some news on us getting Schick. I think we'll hear some news on us getting this player and that player. But I think the interesting thing is I think De Jong will probably go to, I think De Jong will leave Barca. I don't know if it'll be United, but I think De Jong all over next summer as well. Guys, please smash that like button and, of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new as well. We're just talking about the Champions League going on and meeting De Jong in the Europa League as well. I don't even know if I pronounced the name right, but I still can't believe Juventus lost to Maccabi Haifa. I still can't believe Juventus actually lost to Maccabi Haifa as well. But the De Jong story is still up in the news. De Jong story is still going on all the time as well. And Alice, do you remember Ollie time when we were on top of the table and refused to sign players in January, and then we began to drop off points? This is a good point from Daniel here. I've just been talking about in this video how Ten Hag's only 1 point off 4th. We've had the hardest run in, the hardest start. We're dominating the big 6 sides. We're playing well. We're dominating possession. We're really growing this team. We're really playing well. I'm saying, oh, you know what? Ten Hag's doing something really, really good. You know, let's invest in January. He can definitely get top 4 if this continues. But just like Ollie, we were top of the league. They didn't invest in January. We knew we needed a DM in January. We knew we needed another centre back that January, and we collapsed. And this is the thing. We're in a position right now where the way we're going, it looks like United could get top 4, and that's something I never thought I would say. But if we don't invest in January, it's very unlikely, because I think Liverpool will invest in January. I think they'll have to. And I think it'll be a situation again. Last January, as I said, United, Arsenal, Spurs, top 4 was up for grabs. Spurs were the only one that invested in January. Spurs got top 4 because of Kuleveski. Liverpool will invest in January. Spurs, they're not sustainable. United, if Liverpool invest in January and United don't, Liverpool only a few points behind us. That's them above us. I think first is City. I think second is Arsenal. I think third will be Chelsea, but I think third and fourth will be very close together. That's where that's what we need to do. Because we've got games coming thick and fast after the World Cup. And if United don't invest, then they will be in a bit of trouble. Because when you're playing that many games, a game every 3 days after the World Cup, it's going to be difficult as well. It's going to be difficult. Because if you've got Martial and a 37-year-old Ronaldo as your only strikers when you've got a game every 3 days for 4 months straight after the World Cup, on top of the Europa League being the toughest Europa League ever, it's difficult, because to get in the Champions League next season, we either need to win the Europa League or we need to get into the top 4. And as I showed you, with Atletico Madrid, Juventus, Barcelona, Ajax, Sporting, all potentially going down into Europa League, it's going to be a difficult competition to win as well. De Jong's girlfriend likes Barcelona as well. He really does as well. What's my score prediction for tomorrow? I'm going to get into my predictions for tomorrow's game, people. I believe United will win 2-0. We're at home. I think that Sheriff aren't a very good team. I think we'll be a 2-0 win. Even with it's Maguire and Lindelof playing, I still am quite confident of the Manchester United clean sheet, believe it or not. Even with Maguire and Lindelof, my head says to me, you know what? Clean sheet, people. Clean sheet, people. Harry Maguire, Lindelof, clean sheet. I'm thinking it. Let me get it up here. So if we get chosen 11 up here for you guys, when we go to 4, 2, 3, 1 here, and we go this here, boom, 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 boom. So let's get into this. So I believe that Ronaldo will start striker. I think that is a very obvious thing. I think we'll probably get Elanga here playing on the left because I think he'll want to rest Rashford and Anthony here. Actually, you know what? I think he might rest Anthony. I don't know. I think he might. No, I think he'll rest. I think he'll rest Rashford and I'll play Rashford striker in the Prem. I think we'll see this. I think we'll see Elanga come in for Sancho. I think Ronaldo will start up top, and I think Anthony will be on the right here. It's been said by a source that Malacia is set to play. It seems to be confirmed that it will be Malacia and Delo, despite Wan-Bissaka coming back. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Lindelof will be starting. Now, Martinez could be rested. However, I still think Lisandro Martinez is going to play. I still think Lisandro Martinez is going to play, and I think David De Gea will play like that. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The midfield. Is he going to rotate? Is he going to rest? Because we need to win every game, so I don't think there'll be much rotation. However, we've got West Ham on Sunday. We've had quite a lot of games. Is he going to rotate? Is he going to change? That's the interesting thing. Now, I think Bruno will play, and I think we could see McTominay and Eriksen back again, and him resting Casemiro. I think potentially tomorrow we could see something like that. And the reason I say that is because Eriksen obviously was doing the talk with Ten Hag ahead of the game. I think we could see that. However, Casemiro makes such difference to the squad. But then when you're playing Sherrif, you still expect McTominay and Eriksen to beat Sheriff. I think Casemiro, he'll probably want for West Ham fully rested. But I don't know, because he could easily go Casemiro and Fred again, who were so good against Tottenham. And, although they were a little bit iffy, I mean, not Casemiro, although Fred was a little bit iffy when he came on versus Chelsea, it's a difficult one because I couldn't tell for sure what he would do. But I think there will be a little bit of rest. Maybe Eriksen's rested, maybe Casemiro's rested. I think the attack's right, and I think the defence is right. I think Luke Shaw will be rested. I think Rashford will be rested. I think Elanga will get a chance because he looked quite good when he came on. There's rumours of Pellistri playing. Ten Hag did speak about Pellistri, but I think that will be the case as well. Donny is back too, but I don't expect it to start. But what I will do is I'm going to put Donny ? Under Bruno. And the reason I'm going to put Donny ? Under Bruno Fernandes is because Donny will be back in the squad. So I wouldn't be surprised if we went 2-0 up and he thought, I want to give Donny van de Beek some minutes. I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if he did that. Guys, by the way, we're only 11 subscribers away from 52.6k. We're on 52,589 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do go and click that subscribe button, people. It'd be really, really appreciated. Only 11 away, and I do go live every single evening on the channel, keeping you guys up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more. So do make sure you do that as well, people. I do think this will probably, you know what? I don't know. I feel like Eriksen could be rested, but I don't want to. I don't know. It could even be that. You know what? It could actually be this. He could rest Eriksen. So we could rest Eriksen here, and actually go. Not. He could. I would like to see. I'd really like to see this. I'd like to see this. Okay, and hear me out. I think McTominay is a box-to-box player. I've always said this about Scott McTominay. I've always believed Scott McTominay is a box-to-box player. I've always said it. I've always believed it. And I would like to see Scott McTominay in that box-to-box role, because all of McTominay's best games have come when he's got forward in the box. And yes, McTominay came on versus Chelsea, gave away a stupid penalty. But I'd like to see how Casemiro and McTominay work together and actually see what McTominay would be like as a box-to-box, not a DM. Because all my criticism of McTominay has been because he's not a DM and him and Fred don't work. I'd be interesting to see how that went. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that as well. I think Donny will start with Bruno. I think as Donny's been out so long, he won't start. but I think Donny will come on as well. There are rumours that Palestri will start as well, actually going around. Let's see if I can find them. But there was a lot of rumours going about that Palestri could potentially start as well. But official, Barcelona are in the Europa League. Oh, you know what? I'm going to reply to this, guys. Welcome at Frankie de Jong. That's a nice reply. We just got to take. Can we just take a minute to appreciate this news? Barcelona are in the Europa League. Doesn't it? Doesn't it feel good? You know, do you know what? Sometimes you have to just take enjoyment in other clubs doing things shit. Like, you know, when Arsenal, they lost to Newcastle last year, second last game of the season. I sat there and I went, I fucking love this. I fucking love that Arsenal bottled top 4 to Newcastle. And this is the same situation because people were saying, you're a Man United fan. You can't laugh about the Europa League. I'm not laughing about the Europa League. I'm just bantering in Barcelona. The Europa League, I like it. The Europa League group stage is shit. The Europa League knockout is always good. I always get into the Europa League knockouts. Every year, the Europa League knockouts are good. Europa League group stage shit, knockouts good. Tell you that. But I think we all have to just appreciate that Barcelona, Mr. Frankie de Jong, is going to be sitting there in the Europa League as well. It's just the things you love to see as well. Fred and Eriksson, I do not want to see Fred. I don't mind seeing Fred. I don't mind seeing McTominay, but I do not want Fred and McTominay on that same pitch at the same time. That is my one rule. Fred can play. McTominay can play, but not both of them. We've seen so much Fred to know it doesn't work, to know it will never work. Fred, you can start cool. McTominay, you can start cool. But if both of you are playing together, that's me. That's the end of it as well. I believe Donny will get minutes the second half as well. Imagine if Frankie replied. People, Xavi out. I mean, they gave Xavi a lot of money, didn't they, Barcelona? Frankie to Man U confirmed. I mean, look, Lewandowski is going to be playing in Europa League. You know what's really embarrassing is I did a TikTok prediction, and I think I said Barcelona in the Europa League. No, I think I said Barcelona were going to do well this year. Last year, do you know what's really funny? Is Barcelona got relegated to the Europa League last year. And last year, I did come out and say, I reckon Barcelona are going to get relegated to the Europa League. And everyone went in on me. Everyone went off on me. Everyone said, no way are Barcelona going to be in the Europa League. No way Barcelona are going to win the Champions League. La-di-la-di-la. I got rinsed by Barcelona fans. But this year, I actually did think Barcelona were going to do all right. I think I actually predicted Barcelona to do well. Let me get this up. My UCL predictions, I predicted Man City to win. I predicted Real Madrid to come second. I predicted overachievers to be I remember who I put my overachievers as. Borussia Dortmund, I think I said to do well. I predicted Juventus to flop. I did predict Juventus to flop right. I'm very good at predicting my flops as well. But Barcelona's Spanish United right now. But the mad thing is the amount of money Barcelona spent. I tell you what, the Chelsea fans will be loving this right now. The Chelsea fans will be absolutely loving this. Ajax 2 join the Europa League after shot. Do you know what? This is the best thing. Ajax manager Timber makes digs about us being in the Europa League. Frankie de Jong goes on about the Champions League. Di Maria makes digs at United being in the Europa League, and every single one of them is joining us in the Europa League. It's brilliant stuff as well. Someone said Dubravka, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Jones, Balassi, McTominay, Iqbal, Van der Beek, Elanga, Palestri, Ronaldo, my side for Sheriff. That's quite a weak side. I wouldn't rest that much. I wouldn't rest because we still want to top the grid. We could get Barcelona around of 32, and that's a tough game. That's a really tough game. But I still think it's hilarious. Lewandowski went from 2020 UCL winner to hashtag 2 years later, boom, UEL. Here we go, team that spent the most. But Alice, do you think it will reduce the chances for us to win the UCL? As much as I'm enjoying Barcelona being down in the UCL, down into the UEL, I do sit here and go, I do sit here and go, okay, this could mean it's going to be a bit more difficult to win the Europa League. Because I did say at the start of the season, I think, United are probably the best team in the Europa League. I did know, obviously, teams were going to get knocked down. I thought it'd be maybe a Benfica or someone, a difficult team that would get knocked down. But I did always say, look, I think United are comfortably the best team in the Europa League, la-di-la-di-la-di-la-di-da. But now we're not. We've got Barcelona, we've got Juventus, we've got maybe a Sevilla as well. Sevilla will fucking win it. Sevilla always fucking win it. You've got, you know, Sporting Lisbon that are a good side. You've got potentially AC Milan that could go down. RB Leipzig could still go down. Atletico Madrid, as it stands, will probably go down. Ajax will go down. You know, we've got some difficult sides, which is why I'm going and talking about it a lot, because we have to beat Real Sociedad. We've got to beat Sheriff. We've got to beat Real Sociedad, or it will be difficult as well. Also, Di Maria dumped out of UCL and quarters. Honestly, the fact that Di Maria still can't win the Champions League since leaving United, it does make it very enjoyable. And the standards of some of the most elite clubs in Europe have fallen. It's the period of oil money FC. So you do small tin pot clubs like Man City and PSG. They are the teams that will succeed because they got the money, whereas your historic clubs like Barcelona and Man United just happen to fail and fail and fail as well. News story that's just come out though. I want to get into this quickly. If Man United have been linked to another Ajax player, guys, pretend to be shocked. Pretend to be shocked. It's coming out that reportedly United and Chelsea are now following Ajax midfielder Edson Alvarez, who we know was desperate to leave Ajax in the summer but was forced to stay after Antony left and was very close to joining Chelsea. Then Chelsea went and got Sakaria. Edson Alvarez is a midfielder. He's more of a DM than a ball-carrying midfielder. I'm sure he's someone United are keeping an eye on. However, I don't think we'll be making the move for Edson Alvarez. Maybe in the summer, but not January. I think that, again, our priority will be an attacker in January. But that's a little bit of transfer news coming in about Edson Alvarez to Manchester United people as well. And it's been said that Manchester United have joined a list of top clubs who are eyeing up the Amsterdam midfielder. Apparently, Barcelona, again, as well as Chelsea, also interested in Edson Alvarez. So as soon as Barcelona get knocked out, they obviously look for players. But we will have to welcome Frankie de Jong to the Europa League, people. We all have to give Frankie de Jong a hard, warm welcome to the Europa League. But look, guys, I am going to wrap up the live stream in just a second as well. Ajax United will be exciting. Someone said De Gea, Malacia, Maguire, Martinez, Dalot, Ericsson, McTominay, Donny, Alanga, Bruno, Antony and Ronaldo would be the predicted. That would be a nice sign to see. But look, guys, I am going to end the live stream here. I do want to say, please do smash that like button. Please do subscribe down below. I know the last 10 minutes we've just been bantering Barcelona rather than talking about news. So smash a like, smash a subscribe, share the video, people. I will be live tomorrow for United versus Sheriff. So make sure you subscribe for that. That will be a good live stream and more to talk about as well. So watch along tomorrow. Match reaction tomorrow. Maybe a news video in the morning if any news comes out tonight or early in the morning as well. So make sure you subscribe, smash a like, smash a share. See you next time, guys. Bish, bash, bosh. Bye.